to be able to then share the blueprint that worked for me with other people and have them follow it and see the same success. And like Dan and like you've said, I can count dozens of others that have left their jobs and been able to go full time. And like, I don't know it sound corny, but like people genuinely hated their previous careers and were just stuck and not in a good place mentally, and all these crazy stories. And they're all they come to me like, I'm doing weddings full time and I love it, and I've got a better lifestyle, and they're crediting me with that and Howard, and it's just like, it's bizarre. It still feels a bit strange, but it's lovely. It's really nice.
Danny, how's it going?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm kind of knackered. What a busy weekend that was.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired.
When the sun comes out after winter and you're faced with, like, suddenly you're getting sun at weddings, I seem to just forget how to expose. It's like, oh my God, the sun has come out. Like, what am I doing here with my indie filter? Like,
it was really, really warm though. Like, cause did you wear shorts?
Not this weekend.
I wore shorts.
Did you?
Yeah, I was just like, I can't.
Shorts in May.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Pins out.
I know. I save that for, like, peak June.
It was really, really
July.
warm though. It was like 24 degrees or something. It was roasting.
That is kind of hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of battled through it. I didn't drink enough water again. I did bring my bottle.
Right.
But it kind of stayed under a bench all day.
I left my bottle at home, so I had to buy like a big 2-litre one. But I got through that twice.
Yeah.
I did drink enough water.
What's your thoughts on shorts at weddings, Adam?
Yeah, totally on
You
board.
need to. Yeah, like obviously, I'm not just kicking about in like Nikes or something. It's.
I mean,
they were
I
like
am.
nice. They were nice dress shorts. I basically just
They've
wore
got to be
what I wore.
smart shorts.
Yeah,
ironed, dressed shorts. Yeah.
But with a
And
shirt.
nice shoes to go with.
With a shirt, yeah.
See, I think I'm like bucking that trend. Like, everyone always says wear really nice clothes, and I'll wear denim shorts and Nike trainers. Like, I am that opposite vibe.
Okay.
But I know that's the advice of the industry. Be smart, but I seem to get away with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. My branding and everything allows me to not
to be a bit fruity.
But that's why I don't get the high-end clients. that's when the planners don't want to work with me. That's getting cut.
Oh no, that's staying in. That we'll use that
And
as
that's
a
why
short.
I'm the editor.
Really excited for this episode. Planning this one for a while. And yeah, on the show today we have Little Miss Princess Adam Wing.
I thought I'd tee that up pretty nicely.
How are you, Adam?
I'm very well, thanks, boys. Thank you. I'm
Good.
very good. Thanks for having me.
No?
You're
How are you?
welcome. Yeah, very good. I mean, as Daddy said, we've been looking forward to this one. Partly a major inspiration as to why a podcast like this, that we've started, is because of someone like you who's kind of been a pioneer for the education space in the UK industry for quite some time. So, I think it's...
Well, one of the reasons, to be honest, that I'm even sitting in this chair has a lot to do with you as well, Adam. So...
Danny's strong-armed you into agreeing to have me on.
I know, he's like, Adam who? Like,
Never heard of him.
I'm like, Adam Wing. He's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've listened to your podcast, for the last year or so when it's been coming out. So it's
Oh, wow, okay.
it's always been. I mean, I'm podcast daft, but I've only ever kind of had US influences. So when I started hearing more come out from the UK, it was a breath of fresh air. And again, it was why conversations that Danny and I had one night in a drunken bar in Glasgow. Yes, it would be great for us to start something new. So yeah, and that's all thanks to you, man. So you've been putting in the graft for years, and it's
It's paying off. Like, he's
You're
blushing.
making me
The princess is
shout.
blushing.
Well, Danny's very kind. Obviously, like we go way back to my course and stuff. So
Yeah. And
obviously, Dan,
we'll cover off.
he's been very complimentary about that. So yeah, you're very sweet. Thank you.
No, not at all, not at all. And we will go into like how that has helped me, and obviously where people can still go to get it, because it is still up at the moment, isn't it? So
Yeah. We're clinging on. It's always there.
yeah.
it was great. But anyway, we'll start out with an introduction to who you are for some of our listeners, like Jason, who don't know who you are. So a little bit about you, Adam, and your company and your style of filmmaking would be great.
Sure. Yeah. So I am Adam Wing. That's my surname, and my business is called Adam Wing Films. My style is natural and discreet and minimal and all those buzzwords, I guess, that everyone else uses. So yeah, I funnily, like when I started, I was second shooting in my early days for another guy, Stefan at YSD Media. He's a really good friend of mine now, but he took me under his wing early doors.
I know that.
Yeah, no. Stefan's class.
Yeah. So you know him, yeah. So he took me on like as a favor to my uncle who's in the wedding industry, which I can touch on as well. And he was like, yeah, I'll take him. And I was just like, I'd never picked up a camera before, but he's very much into the gimbals and he had sliders and cranes and all sorts back in the day. And he used to get me. He was like, right, so I just need you to pick this thing up and get this kind of sweeping, and I could never get the angle of it, and he was always telling me off. And I was just like, I'm gonna have to give up. I don't know if I can do this. And then I discovered Philip White, and his minimal, and I was like, you mean I don't need one of these things? I can just do it like this guy. So yeah, I kind of subscribed to that, and I've been discreet ever since. So I ditched Stefan and the gimbal and went off on my own.
Fair enough though, because I think you need to figure out what style works for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's
for sure. And I kind of learned that the hard way. Like, I really hated doing, and like now it'd be different because I know what I'm doing. I'd be able to use it well. But I just think that over my years of 8 years now, I've been doing this approach is the right way for most couples in the UK.
Yeah,
for most UK couples. Which, you know, starting out, I was targeting local UK couples that just didn't want to be on camera. So it was just such an easy way to sell myself to them, and to say that I was discreet, and then deliver on that, like turn up on the day and be that discreet that at the end of the day they're like, I forgot you were here. Like, who are you? And it's just, you know, if I can deliver on that, and couples can then back me up with it, it's just so easy to sell to our sort of clientele, this market in the UK. So because it's never failed me. So you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, definitely. Because I think one thing, and I remember way back when I was first starting out, and I kind of found you online, and it was your About Me video that I think is fantastic even still at this day. You know, the bit where you've got
when I'm on talking on camera.
I think it's so good. It's really, really powerful, and it's just I was showing Jason it the other day, and
as part of preparation for this, I was like, right, okay, we'll go deep dive in the website and look at the About video, and it's something I think everyone's probably thought of doing, but not many people actually do. I mean, a lot of About pages for videographers are just written, but you've got a video really showcasing some of your best work, really talking about what your purpose is in the day and what your aim is to deliver for couples. And I think it just sold it so well.
Yeah, it's really good.
It really, really was.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm making an updated, because that's old now. That's
I did see the old logo on it. I did see the old logo. I was like, he's going to update that. But
you have to work to top that one, though, because it was a good one
coming this year.
Yeah. What was the initial inspiration behind doing that? Like, what was the thought process in doing that?
But this is a good segue, because it brings me back to how I started. So my uncle is in the wedding industry. He's an entertainer, singer.
This is Howard, obviously, that you've done.
Howard,
you do the podcast.
Do the podcast with. He did the course with. But he's been in the industry for 20 years, and he's just such an entrepreneur as well. So his business knowledge in a wedding specifically is just like second to none. So it was like I had no interest in filming. He was just like, "Do you fancy? I've got this camera. You're my nephew. You'll understand tech because you're young. Like, can you come and follow me to a wedding and film some content for me so I can like use it for promo purposes?" And then so I did that, and then he started offering it to his couple. So he was like, "I can bring a little guy and make you little highlight videos as a bolt onto my services," and then he'd pay me like 50 quid, and he'd charge the couple 500. So I did a few of those. Business head. Yeah.
It's absolutely rinsed exploitation of kids.
So, and then I just showed an interest. So it was a case of like, people do wedding videos, like you can get paid and stuff. That's the thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'll give that a go. How? Like a couple £100. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. And I just got started, and he obviously then gave me all of his wealth of expertise of how to get bookings and how to things like wedding fairs and networking and getting into the industry and all that. And I think it was him that said, like, you need, because he's an entertainer, so he's used to promoting himself and being in front of people's faces, in front of the camera, and that was kind of his way of marketing that he then shared with me. So he was like, you need to have your company needs to be your name. You need to put your face out there all the time. You need to be doing selfies on your Facebook and your Instagram. You need a video. You need to talk into camera, explaining yourself, what you do. And it's just, I guess, luck and convenience that no other videographers, even now, like I think I've seen 3 other than me that have done it. In the UK, there's like
5.
not many that do it. And it's I get it, because most of us are like creatives and we're introverted, and it's all about the art and it's all about the videos. And I was lucky that I just had that outside perspective of, because my uncle was very much personal branding, because that suits him as an entertainer. It was a unique approach to then bring into videography, because I was selling me, and the product was almost secondary. And as you said from my video, like I'm there talking to camera, explaining how I am on the day and how I am discreet and how most people don't see me. And then I've got like footage overlaying that to back it up and stuff. So yeah, it works pretty well. And I actually made the video for the purposes of sending it to the Wedding Industry Awards to try and help my application for that. And then I was like, well, I've made it. I'll put it on my website. That's, it's worked out pretty good. But that's a very long answer to you.
I think it's really good to talk about it, because if you're listening to this podcast and you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about, head to Adam Wing's website, go to the About, see the video at the top of the page, and it's like a 4 or 5 minute video just of some amazing highlights, some good music, and just Adam talking about what he does, plus a little quote from Alan Watts, is it? Like the
I used a bit of that, back when everyone was using his speeches in the film.
It's a really cool piece. Just some excellent work there. So yeah, I think it's worth actually enhancing. And do you find any couples speaking to you about that video? Like when people inquire, is anyone talking to you about that film?
Yeah, occasionally. I've got another one on my site somewhere that's of like a couple talking, a testimonial from a couple where they sit and talk on camera. And again, I just went around and filmed them talking about me and what they thought about the whole experience of the video.
Like Ellie Sachs? The Ellie Sachs?
It is Ellie Sachs, who's obviously in the industry, and she's a friend. So that was someone I knew that I could be like, do you mind if I just come and film you and you talk about me and say how good I was? And put it on it from the heart. And I think one of the things that Harry, her husband, said was, he said, we've got pictures from the speeches, but to have the video of the speeches and to see the reactions and actually put it into context and then
what they're talking about.
To hear what they're talking about, and then then the photos of the reactions make sense because we can relate it to and he said all this, and he was like, that was the power of having a video for them. And then over the top of that, I've got their speeches and the reactions and stuff. And that's something that couples, when they inquire, they're like, I've watched that video where you've got one of your old couples talking about like being able to hear the speeches back, and like, I think that's really important. Like, I'd not thought about that until I saw your videos. So just having something a little extra as well as my work on my site, just those little extra things, I think it helps them buying, like they get to see me as well, because it's my face and it's my voice.
Have you asked any other of your, different? Have you asked any more of your couples for like testimonials similar to that, or was it just?
Yeah, I've got a few. I've just put something on my Instagram recently where I've got a few. I think I've got 3 couples that I filmed them watching their wedding film for the first time.
How do you go about approaching that? Because I think every videographer would like everyone. I don't know if many people ask.
Yeah, it's
for,
powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, like an immediate review once they've seen the film, because we really want to see people's reactions. Like, what's your process of asking couples for this kind of testimonial?
In Ellie and Harry's case, obviously, and the friends, so that was a really easy one.
Yeah, that's easier.
But I do this I do this every now and again throughout the year. If I've had a really good wedding, or a couple who are like, really confident or well spoken, and we really got on, like, when you click with your couples, right? And if they're good, if they're kind of the right look, and I think they'd be confident. When I send them the films, I'll just say, "Oh, do you mind if you get chance? Like, I'd love you to do a little selfie video, just talking like to camera, just saying something of what you thought about it or something." So I've had a couple. Most people just go, yeah, I'd be happy to," and then you never hear from them again. So I've had a couple of those, and then I've had a couple where I've said, "Yeah, do you mind if I come and just come to your house and film you talking about me?"
Yeah, I'd love that.
Just ask, but I try and pick the right couples. They've got to be
you
need
to have gelled with them. Yeah.
I can totally imagine being behind their couch and just seeing them watching the film, but do a little steady camera behind them, like, oh yeah, it's proper artsy. I can just totally imagine myself doing that now.
Yeah, same. I've done it a couple of times, but it can vary in terms of because I remember I got one couple to record them watching the highlight, and they're not even on the same couches, he's not even in the frame, kind of thing, and I'm like,
but this is the risk, because then if you could say to them, "Do you mind just putting your phone in the corner and hitting record as you watch it?"
Yeah.
And I've asked them to do that before, but like you say, you get mixed results. So it was easier when I started, because I used to work more locally when I first started. And I used to deliver the films to people's houses if it was within a certain radius. So they'd get the USB stick, and I'd just be like, "Send us your address. I'm going to bring it round tonight." So then, back then, I'd be on the door. I'd give it to them and go, "Oh yeah, come in. Like, do you want to? We'll put it out. We'll put it on. Do you want to come and sit and watch it with us?" So I used to sit on the end of the sofa with them watching it, which occasionally, didn't always, but a few were like, because I'm on their doorstep, they were like, "Yeah, just come in and we'll watch it." And so I think I just got ballsy one time. I was like, "Do you mind if I just bring my camera, and when I drop it off, do you mind if I come and leave a camera with you and just record it?" So it's you got to pick the couple.
Yeah.
And I think from the wedding day if you've got on well enough to be able to ask these sorts of things.
Let's move on to a little bit about your education journey, because you've been in the education space now for quite a while. I think you because when did you start your BTS videos?
I want to say 2018 when I started doing YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Which was I was just predominantly putting videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
With an educational slant, if you will.
Yeah.
In inverted commas, because my idea with it was to just share my experiences that I'd picked up as I was learning, because I didn't want. I was trying really hard to frame it as like, I know I'm not the expert, and I'm not trying to tell anyone how to suck eggs.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm trying and learning along the way and sharing it. And so that was, and I started doing these little short tip videos, and each video was supposed to be one practical little, well, last week I changed my settings to this and I got this shot, and here's how, try and do it, and just try and keep it really tangible and practical. And then it just evolved from there. Started trying to do more. I was just looking at YouTubers, and I was like, obviously I've got to do gear reviews, I've got to do the what's in my bag videos, and then it was obviously in wedding film school in America at the time was the big one, and they were doing the BTS, and that was the guy that ran that, Craig Adams, was the only content for videography behind the scenes at weddings that
the only podcast going then as well, pretty much.
Yeah.
Is it still going?
And so
very rarely, but it comes and goes. Is
it? I feel like it changed.
It changed hands.
Yeah, it did change hands.
Uncle Jason, I think, runs it now.
Oh, right.
I'm sure it is.
You cheating on me?
Yeah. Am I interrupting a domestic?
Depends what his answer is.
There's a guy called Craig Adams who definitely is not part of it anymore. But back then, because when I started, the night before my first wedding, I was like YouTubing, how do I film a wedding?
Yeah.
And his stuff came up, and he's at a wedding behind the scenes, and you can see him composing the shots, and then in the corner you see the actual footage from his camera, and it's like really helpful. And I turned up to my first wedding thinking, yeah, that was great. I got loads out of that, of making notes. I turned up and it was completely different to the wedding that he'd shot in California on a hilltop somewhere.
Go figure.
And I was just, as soon as I turned up, I was like, this doesn't look anything like it did on YouTube last night. And I just panicked. So yeah, there obviously is, and I realized at that point there's a huge gap between the markets, and they're just quite different. So he was the only one that I saw at the time. So when I started doing YouTube stuff, I was like, I know eventually I need to get onto the behind the scenes videos because I feel like needs to be a voice for the UK for that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I started putting them out, and then that just, I mean, it makes sense, but that became the most popular content. That's what people wanted. And that's what, when you're making the next one, your other stuff's great. And I was like putting out other types of videos, all within the educational kind of slant. But all the comments I got was like, yeah, nice video, but when's your next video? And they're just hard to do because I need to take someone with me, and they take a long time to edit.
Yeah,
and I have to pick the right weddings. And
can you talk about the process about how you go about making them? Because I think a lot of people do like the idea of creating something like that, but like, what's the process of actually making a BTS video?
Well, for me, it was important to have someone with me, like shooting it. Like with that sole purpose of shooting that, because I wanted to focus on the wedding, and I also wanted like a decent looking, like I didn't want a GoPro on my chest. So do you know what I mean? I wanted a full perspective of me walking around, interacting with people, and seeing me shooting, and I needed someone to film it for me, and record all the sound and everything. So I had to just take like a shooter with me and pay them for the day to do it, and then I'd just have to approach the couples and say, I'm going to bring someone with me. Is that okay? And it was a case of trying to find a good wedding. That, and also like, because I've done a few of them now, each time I'm thinking like, what can I show this wedding that's different to the last wedding? Because obviously in like a lot of the standard UK sort of civil weddings, they follow a same sort of format. So each time I've tried to be like, last one was just at a venue, so this next time I'll try and do one that's at a church to show something different. You know, so it's picking the right wedding and the right couple that will look good, because I also want them to look quite aspirational, because I want people to think like I'm doing nice weddings all the time. So it's picking the right wedding and then picking the right couple that I think and can gauge that they might be cool with it and not be too bothered by a second person there with another camera and stuff. And then having the availability of my guy who I was using, and it's all those factors, and just and then obviously you just get busy as well. So it was like, oh yeah, I need to arrange another one, and then it just gets put on the back burner. But generally when I've asked couples, they've all been like, yeah, fine, no worries.
Yeah. And it's never felt like too crowded in a room or anything like that.
No, that's important. Like I make sure. So when I've done it, I've been like, there'll be a free second shooter for you. Like they'll get groom prep, and they'll get second angles and stuff, and then they might just follow me around and get a bit of promo for me at times. So they're like, oh yeah, cool. So I've tried to give them some benefit out of it. So when the ones that are online, when you can see me behind the scenes at bride prep, he'll come with me for like 20 minutes to cover a bit of content there, and then he'll go and do groom prep. So then I can make use of that footage for the couple, and then so they benefit as well. And then it kind of sweetens the deal a little bit.
And obviously you've
so he's not constantly like over my shoulder. You know, like during portraits, I'll be like, well, if you can just go and, if we're going for a walk with them, me and the photographer, don't come with us, just stand way back and just shoot it from a distance or something. Like, you know, try and be, and he's very discreet, so as best we can, it's never really feels that much intrusive.
I mean, you've done Adam's course, so like, what's your...
So I mean, like that course, you brought that out, it was during the lockdown, wasn't it? And I'm assuming...
So obviously all the YouTube stuff. Then.
Was that in... So basically, for those of you who don't know, Adam and Howard, his uncle, have a course for basically wedding filmmakers. And it's pretty much like end to end, like this kind of how you shoot things, this is how you edit, and there's a bit of kind of like business and promotional marketing stuff that Howard kind of covers off at the end, because obviously that's more his forte. So you had that been in the pipeline before COVID, or was it a case of COVID's hit, bookings have cancelled, we need to figure out a way to make some money?
No, that would feel, I think that might have felt a little bit crass at the time, like how can we monetize this situation?
No, but I mean, I just think it's also like thinking outside the box a little bit, because obviously, you know, that would have been a stressful time.
Fair play.
Yeah, it would have been a stressful time. I don't know how I would have dealt with it.
A lot of people losing their jobs.
I was buying and selling loo-roll as well at the time. So.
Oh, mind that.
Is that where it all went?
Wing Enterprises, flogging loo-roll.
Let's be real. Delivering your wedding films by USB, that's outdated.
We use VidFlow, the sleekest platform for delivering your wedding films. It makes your couples feel like they've got their own private Netflix.
Plus, with their white labeling service, you can customize everything from the branding to your own custom domain to make it super personal.
Want to wow your clients? Use the code TWVP10 for 10% off any of the pro plans, including the white label service.
Head on over to vidflow.co
and level up your wedding film delivery experience. Let's talk about backlog. Editing piles up fast and it's overwhelming.
That's why we use brideandgroom.video, a wedding film editing service that creates stunning wedding films faster without compromising on quality.
They match your unique style, so you still feel like you've made them, and the process is super simple.
Use the code TWVP75 to get £75 off your first order and try out their service.
Clear your backlog and grow your business. Visit brideandgroom.video today.
Hasta la vista, backlog.
That evolving, I had built up a bit of an audience on the YouTube stuff and a bit of following, and I knew I wanted to do some sort of course. And I discussed it with Howard, because we were always like on drives back from weddings, having like late night chats about everything, business stuff. So we just came up with the idea to do this course together, an online course, which he'd been wanting to do for years. He just couldn't find an audience for it. So he wanted to do like a how to get into the wedding industry, some sort of course or online thing. But he just didn't. And there I was with an audience of like a few thousand videographers who wanted to learn how to be a wedding videographer. So we just married them together. And I covered the videography, he covered the business side. So that was the plan. And we started, making it towards the end of 2019. And then we were like getting ready to do the whole like, sales funnel thing to get it going, and sending out all the emails to get it launched for sort of spring of 2020. And then COVID happened. So it was just coincidence, but we ummed and ahed and delayed it for a bit. And we were like, is it right to put it out now? Because nobody's got any weddings. So who's going to buy it? Because there's no weddings to do. So they're not going to be able to apply it. And also, like, don't want to, put something out and be like, let's profit from. I didn't want it to look like we were trying to make money when everyone had no money and no income. So we ummed and ahed. But in the end, there was enough people asking, like, "Oh, when's it? I know you've delayed it. When is it?" So we put it out, and it was I'm glad we did in the end, because it was a really good thing. It was, in terms of cash flow for us, it was great because there was no income coming in from weddings. So it kept us going there. And we built, because everyone was at home and they had the time to go through the course properly. And the first, within the first couple of hundred people that signed up in those early months, we were always we were doing like weekly Facebook live chats and Q&As with them.
Yeah, I remember.
Because we had loads of time, and it was just nice to be able to like build that community, and everyone that had bought the course, a lot of them were like starting out and beginners, so we were just constantly like back and forth and chatting and sharing experiences, and we were all like hanging off the news, going like, what's the latest update on weddings? Oh, okay, right, well, what can we be doing in the meantime? Let's do. I mean, it was a really nice time actually, and it kind of established that community within the Facebook group, as you probably know, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with
everyone stayed really tight with each other, and
yeah, I mean,
it worked out quite well.
The thing with COVID is that it actually introduced a lot of new people to the industry.
Well,
like,
me being one.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of people that had a reset in their careers and thought, right, maybe it's time to try something new with lockdown.
Yeah.
And that brought a lot of people in. That's kind of the generation we're seeing now with these new filmmakers who, you know. So,
I know it's annoying. I taught a load of new ones, and
yeah, thanks, Adam.
they're all doing my style.
But yeah,
not that it's my style. Obviously, I ripped off people before me, so it's fair game.
Much like you were out, you know, with Stefan, and I'd done the same.
Exactly.
I'll put my own spin on it.
Originality is dead, folks.
Yeah, because I definitely, you know, our styles, I guess, are quite different. But I think one of the main things as well that I took away from that, which I think I said to you before at the Wedding Industry Awards, was just, and I'll not give any spoilers for the course for those who haven't bought it, but just like the editing techniques, that just from somebody that hadn't at that point I'd been out second shooting. I'd done like a couple of weddings, but I've been doing very, very clunky editing, and it was just a really nice, smooth workflow that ultimately saved me hours and hours and hours of editing, because I was doing it the long way, essentially. And then it wasn't until watching what you're obviously going through the course and being like, that makes a lot of sense.
It works, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, as you're saying, like there's just there's a framework that in the course I like screen record everything and just go through like loading the footage into the finished product, and there's a kind of loose framework for every film that just works.
It does. I mean, I still edit. That's exactly how I still do it. You know, because it's you know, I've made no adjustments to it. I've pretty much just continued to do it, and it works an absolute treat. But you've had a lot of success stories as well, like from people that, because I know that, and we'll come on to obviously the podcast that you now have with Howard in a moment, but I know that you had, for instance, like Daniel Johnson on there. I think that was the episode that was last week, who's another videographer from the Northwest, that also took your course and is now doing, you know, was able to quit the day job, much like I was, and kind of like go at it full steam ahead. So, and there will be other success stories from that. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, that's the goosebump stuff. Like, obviously, we've had these messages over the last months and couple of years since we launched it. But sitting down with Dan and recording that a couple of weeks ago, he's from Blackpool like me, and he had a very similar thing to me when I entered. He was doing a whatever job, earning however much. I think he was a civil servant. And then he just, when he heard about the kind of money that you can make in weddings, it was like, it's a lot and it sounds really great because, you know, I'm just a young lad from Blackpool. But I think he said on the podcast, he was like, there's no way I'll get to that. Like, no chance. And then he did within like 18 months or whatever. And he just blew his mind. But I had the same thing. Like, when it happened to me, I was like, there's no way I'll earn that. That would be like dream stuff. And then I did. And then I went beyond it. And it's just crazy. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I love that I've found the wedding industry, and it really feels like a sort of cheat code to life, because it's a really enjoyable job. I get to spend loads of time at home, and now I've got kids as well. That means even more. I earn good money. And I don't have to work crazy hours, and like, I mean, I probably do, but it doesn't feel like work. Because I enjoy it.
I mean, we definitely put in the hours.
That's it. I don't have to put in the hours, but I do. I love it.
But it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like a chore because it's. And you're
it's
right.
not working in a coal mine.
Exactly. But
and it's good money, and it's sociable, and it allows me to be at home with the kids, and I think to be able to then share the blueprint that worked for me with other people and have them follow it and see the same success, and like Dan and like you've said, I can count dozens of others that have left their jobs and been able to go full time, and like, I don't want to sound corny, but like people genuinely hated their previous careers and were just stuck and not in a good place mentally, and all these crazy stories. And they're all they come to me like, I'm doing weddings full time and I love it, and I've, you know, got a better lifestyle, they're crediting me with that and Howard, and it's just like, it's bizarre. It still feels a bit strange, but it's lovely. It's really nice. It's it's great, and I'm just so glad that other people kind of experiencing that same realization that I had when I got into it, and it's just a great place to be, and to be able to share that. I trained as a teacher, so having that kind of light bulb moment and in educating someone else, I still get to scratch that itch doing this as I did, because that's what I liked about teaching when I wanted to be a teacher. So being able to do this alongside filming weddings is really nice, you know. No, and it's not just me. It's like you've got to put in, like Dan said, I owe everything to you guys. And it's like, you don't. Like, we opened a door, and you've got to get yourself through it and do the work. I mean, you need to in the course.
Yeah, you have to put in the graft. Yeah, you there's not just a case of that, you know, you take out Adam's course and that's it. You've got a cheat sheet to you know, fast track in the wedding industry. But it gives you like but it does in a way. It gives you that course gave me, especially somebody that hadn't been out that much at the time, it just gave me like all the kind of like fundamentals that I wouldn't have got without making mistakes along the way, you know. So I maybe would have got there at some point. I think Dan obviously talks about this in the podcast. Like, So he probably would have got there, but it would take him longer. And I would
I feel really awkward accepting compliments about it and accepting any kind of responsibility, because I'm like, no, it's all on you, and it's a weird thing for me to sit there and be like, oh, thanks.
I guess the good thing is that you don't necessarily need to accept it. The evidence is there with everyone that has actually benefited from it. And like you said, you know, like it's not like take this and you do it. What you've just done is given the framework of what worked for you. And you've shared that knowledge because, you know, you see your life and what you're living now. And I think anyone wishes to have that life. And if you're living that, you only want more people to enjoy what we've got, because there's an absolute abundance out there. For
I think any industry, like if you're successful and you're happy, then you just kind of want other people to, you know, when you're miserable, you want everyone else to be miserable. When you're doing well, you want everyone else to do well. So it's just nice to be able to share that. But to hear stuff like that we've changed people's lives and stuff. And this is like, you know, even if it's like a dozen people, that's a super like fulfilling as a life mission. And you know, I'm only 30, so it's just like, it's goosebump stuff. It really is.
Time is valuable. And like, you could spend weeks, months Googling all the different answers, or not even know what questions to ask. But education gives you everything in one bite-sized section. I just think it's
so. Yeah, it saves you months, years. Doesn't it?
Oh, massively. Yeah. So for your course, where can our listeners find out a bit more about that if they're wanting to go ahead and get it?
Well, it's called the Complete Wedding Film Business Videography, but something like that. So it's quite long-winded, and the link is quite long-winded. So they can message me on Instagram and I can send it, or it's linked on my website.
We'll link it in the
I was on your website earlier. Yeah, and I just found it immediately. It's there.
So it's linked. It's linked on my website, and it's linked on my link tree on my Instagram. So it's online somewhere. You'll be able to find it. Just DM me if not.
Great, smashing.
If you want me to, I can send you a code for people. If you want.
Yeah, that'd be good.
If they're interested, I'll do a code for your listeners, so if anyone does want to check it out.
Yeah,
there you go.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, Adam Wing.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So, kind of touching on some of the stuff that you've done with like the BTS, because we're also like a little bit interested into, you know, what kit you use, and then you're like, obviously your approach you mentioned obviously before, it's kind of like minimalist, and I think that is obviously kind of like shown in the films, because your films are, you know, they're beautiful and they're not like what's the word? They're simply beautiful. Is probably the best way to describe it in terms of but just in terms of like it's not
keep talking.
But it's not they're not like overproduced or anything like that. And it is it's you're very kind of like fly on the wall, aren't you?
Everyone looks like they're in the moment.
Yeah, totally, and it's really captivating as the viewer, kind of like watching it. So
yeah, I mean I think they're all right, and certainly the intention, because obviously it suits me to be minimal because it's dead easy and I don't break my back, and I can be lazy on the day, and it's great. And the photographers are always laughing at me, but I just genuinely get the results I want because I'm handheld and it is a bit more kind of home movie-esque.
Yeah.
But I want that feel when they watch it back, and it does feel like a bit of a window into the day, I hope. And I try and use like the sound from the day and the music to fit and all of that. And I want it to have that like rusticy sort of home video sort of feel rather than it being super polished.
Yeah.
So it all works hand in hand pretty good, and it allows me to just have my, be handheld and just have one camera and just kind of flit around. And like the photographer, like every photographer I work with, and if I've not worked with a photographer before, I kind of play on it because it's a good way to like make friends with them. They just end up laughing at me because I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna go and do that? Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just gonna lean on this wall and stay here for 5 minutes."
So one camera throughout the day.
And it's Sony you use?
Yeah, so I've got the Sony A7S III is my main cam, and I've got 55mm on that. And that's for most of the day all I use. Handheld. And then for the ceremony speeches, I'll set that up on a monopod, and I'll also set up my second camera, which is the A7 IV, and I have a wide 24mm on that just to get the background shot of the ceremony speeches as a second angle, and that's it.
So two cam setup.
Audio. Yeah, two cam
Always
setup.
two cam.
So I've got a tripod and a monopod for those, and same lenses, and got my audio and batteries, and that's it.
Yeah, and your audio you're using
the TX660s, the
Ultra
later ones. Which I've obviously got there for the video listeners.
I do love that. Like I am also like one camera, one lens all day, but like just the idea of being on a prime lens all day, like one focal length. Like you say, obviously it's the majority of the day, so I do take it you swap that out now and again.
No, the lens is there all day. I only say majority because obviously for the ceremony speeches I whack it onto a monopod. So it's all day 55mm and f1.8, like you say, prime. I don't touch that. It's just that I'm handheld for everything but ceremony speeches.
I love it.
And I don't think I've ever had a zoom. I think because I did Philip White's workshop, which, as I mentioned, in my early days, and that was kind of, I wouldn't say it was transformative because I didn't have any prior approach, but that was the approach I adopted at the start, and I just ran with that, and I've never deviated too far. And so I think it was him that said, like, just having a prime and having the one lens takes all the indecision out, and you just have to move. You don't have time you don't waste time thinking about, oh, how do I like compose this? And so it kind of just helps. And I know it so well. Like I know where I need to stand to get the shot I want because I'm so used to it. So
in the ceremony, how creative are you being during the ceremony? Are you walking around getting different aspects from or are you just standing in place? Like, is that?
Yeah, I've got my static at the back on the wide, and then I just generally would be at the front, pretty still.
Just getting the kind of safety kind of core shots.
Yeah, just the couple, like the vows, and I'll move for the readings to get a better shot of the readings and stuff like that. But generally, I stay put. If it's a civil ceremony, I've got the option, and I've got the option to like move to get the groom's side, and then when the bride's doing her vows, I'll move around to get her face, and that's about as much as I try and keep it minimal, because when I come to edit that, I don't want to be like cutting between the multicam, the two cameras all the time, because I'm like moving too much. So I try and stay put, and also discretion as well.
Yeah.
So they're not super creative. Like same with speeches, it's just like I just cover it and get it clean, and then
sometimes
occasionally you get a really nice shot, and it just works. But for most part, I'm just trying to keep it clean and simple. And
I'd love sometimes to have like that simplistic approach to wedding filmmaking. I think I'm now just in my way of like doing things because that to me, obviously, just being on a 55 all day, I'm like, Oh my god!
I love the idea of it.
I couldn't think about how to approach that.
I think as solo shooters, you and I do tend to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, definitely.
And if the risk of overcomplicating it and having multiple cameras and I mean, I don't change my lenses, but like I'm always sometimes I find I'm zooming in too quick to ruin a shot.
Yeah,
like and that just ruins it. But the idea of if you simplify it, you're going to make less mistakes as well. You're gonna it's going to be captured. So it's a really it's a great approach.
I mean,
and you can do a lot in the edit as well. So I just, as long as I cover everything cleanly and get all the shots, it doesn't have to be super creative for me at the time. I'll add to that, like occasionally at the night time, for example, I might switch to the 24mm and use that handheld to get like super close to dance floor action. Or, you know, occasionally if I'm like feeling maverick, I'm like, oh, I could get a wide shot here and just mix it up a bit. I might do that, but generally speaking, I'm just on the 55.
Yeah. It's cool, isn't it? Just everybody's different approach to it.
I'd need a different brand to try it out. Like I would never get away with that with what I do, but I would love to. I'd love to give that a go.
So. I guess the other question is, so how your packages are set up and what you charge, if you're and how many you're booking, kind of like a year, if you don't mind sharing.
No, not at all. So I have the highlights films, which are like 5 minutes. The longer ones I do are 15 to 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then I do the ceremony and speeches. So they always get the highlights film and the ceremony and the speeches. And then they can add on the longer one, and they're the two packages. And then I offer extras like second shooters and what else do I offer? Like teaser films and express edits and stuff like that. But the two main packages include the ceremony and speeches and include my travel for the most part, and include like I'll be there all day and all that sort of stuff. What else? And I sort of my average price point's about $3,000. I'm happy with it. There was a time where I was thinking about trying to chase the high end and go into the high end. I hate using that term, but charging more and more and more and more. But it's a different type of branding and a different way of communicating I've found, and I think I've found my happy place with the kind of clients and the types of weddings that I do and stuff. And I like to be able to market myself and do the whole connect with my couples and
same
kind of sell myself in a certain way, and it just kind of works at this level. So I'm happy there.
It's amazing when you do discover when you do go above, because actually last year I actually went back down because I did go chasing that kind of next level, and I got there and I'm like, this might not fit the kind of thing. I think everyone always tells you that, aim higher, but actually no, when you find your spot that works for you and you're getting a number of bookings that matter for you, then I think, there's no shame in that. I think there's this, when I started in the education that I kind of followed before, I was always saying, aim higher, but that doesn't define success. Success for you is what makes you happy, working with people that you want to work with, having the workload that you want to do, and delivering on the expectations that's put upon you. I think, once you find your sweet spot,
I feel real strong about that. I'm preaching to the converted, obviously, but like you say, it's charge more, do less. Charge more, do less. You want to be doing and everyone looks up to the top people that are like, oh, they must charge 10 grand plus a wedding, and they only do a dozen a year, and they're going all over the world, and it's amazing. And fair play, it's incredible, but doesn't necessarily mean that they're more successful than someone else who's doing 40 a year, 2 grand. Just enjoying it,
100%.
I've got a real simple setup, I don't have much kit, don't have much expenses. I don't spend too long editing, and I just get to be at home with the kids, and I get to go to really nice weddings. Don't get me wrong, if occasionally I'll go down south or abroad, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to stay over in a couple of nights in London. Sorry, babe, you're gonna have to sort the kids out. And I get a hotel room to myself, and I love it. But
sleep.
I just like, it's a nice balance for me. It works well, and I think that's the pinnacle of success. Without blowing my own trumpet, I'm like, I am successful because I've got where I want to be. I know I can hit it every year, and I'm happy there. So
Yeah, it looks like you've got a good business model, like for yourself and what works for you, and especially with, like the low expenses and stuff like that. That's kind of where it's all comes together to have a.
Oh, it's. I know it's typically American. I don't want to stereotype any international listeners that you might have, but you like I've seen the spreadsheets where they're like, we've worked out the cost per hour, and when you break it down, unless you're charging $50,000 per wedding, then you might as well be working in McDonald's because the hourly wage. And I looked at the spreadsheet that this guy put on, and it was like, the cost for his camera per wedding, like $500 off for the cost of the equipment every single wedding. Well, straight away, I bought a $3,000 camera, and I've used it for 200 weddings.
Yeah,
like, that is not £500 of equipment costs per wedding.
Yeah.
That was rubbish.
I was looking at. I was walking my dog the other day, and I was actually thinking, like, I got my camera returned from my first camera. I had an A7S II for 4 years. I used it, and I remember I got that back because it eventually ran out of death, and then I bought the A7S III last year. I got it returned a couple of months ago, and I'm thinking, I spent like maybe $2,000 buying that camera, and the return on the investment from that camera for 4 years. I mean, it's
unbelievable.
It's silly money for 4 years of weddings. Like,
you would have an even better return on investment if you went for a penny.
For sure.
Get them in Happy Meals, can't you?
Yes.
Sony. No.
So one question that we do like to ask all the guests that come on is, tell us about your biggest balls up.
Oh, God. How long you got?
Go get the popcorn, Jason.
You should have pre-warned me. Biggest one. I've had a few. I had one a couple of weeks ago. Camera overheated about 2 weeks ago, and I lost. Sony. Like on one angle, I lost.
That'd be the A7 IV, right?
Yeah.
I told you
that camera is just not. Yeah. It needs to go.
Can't handle the heat. And I was like, how's this happened? It's indoors. It's not even hot. Like, I was shooting 4K and stuff. So I lost one angle for like a few minutes. But biggest balls up. But this is not necessarily a balls up, but it's a funny story, so I'll tell it.
Go for it.
It was abroad. It was in Italy, and the wedding party were like all Americans. There's only about 20 of them. And I'd had a bad stomach that had developed through the day. So by the time they were having the meal, because there was only a small number of them, they were all sat around this one big table in this room. We were next door in the supplier bit, and 8 courses of Italian goodness, and I was shoveling it all in. But I was like, I'm starting to feel a bit weird. So I needed the toilet. To put it politely, I knew I was going to poo myself. The toilet, I had to go past. I had to go out of our room through the room that the guests were in, to then go to the toilet, and at the other end of that room, and there was nothing else there. It was just a toilet. So as I passed through the first time, a couple of people looked up, and I was like, right, just walked through, went to the toilet, came back, enjoy your meal, bye, all fine. 5 minutes later, I had to do the same trip again. So I went back through, me again, yeah, and I must have done this trip like 5-6 times, because I was at this point I was like, I needed to go. I was on and off the toilet, constant, and I was starting to get a few like,
is she all right?
Yeah, he's been back and he's been to the toilet a few. He's either doing drugs or he's ill. And on like maybe the 5th or 6th time, the one of the bridesmaids, I walked out and she was just stood there waiting to go in, because it was like just one toilet. And I had to say, I was like, I devastated it. It was horrendous. And so I had to say to her, I was like,
give it 5 minutes.
Please, honestly, give it. Please don't go in there. Just give it 5 minutes. And I don't know whether she thought there was some sort of, humor cultural divide of like, British humor doesn't translate to the Americans. She just kind of went, yeah, good one, and then walked in, and I was just like, I literally like scarpered and I just ran. And she never said anything to me afterwards, but God,
She
it
said
must
it
have
to
been an
everyone
awful.
else.
Oh yeah, she'll have told everyone because it was an awful scene that I'd let her walk into. That was super embarrassing, and it felt like the biggest like professional blunder ever. But I don't suppose it's a cock up because I was poorly, but it was
Sometimes,
embarrassing.
when
Anyway,
you need to go, you need to go.
I mean, these things happen. We're all human.
you just got to power through, haven't you? I did the first dance. I did a few shots at night, and I had to leave. The photographer was like, "You don't look." I was like shaking. She was like, "You don't look well. Go home." So I didn't stay as long as I wanted to, and I've not got enough footage. And obviously, when I got home, it was all good. So
yeah.
It could have happened at a hotel with like a bunch of cubicles. It had to happen when you've got access to one toilet.
In Italy.
Yeah. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
I feel for you.
It's a good story anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely a good story. Yeah.
My biggest cock up probably I deleted a ceremony once, just going through my footage on the day. Deleted the entire ceremony.
And it's hard. How do you recover from that on the day as well? You're like, I know I've done.
Yeah, it was a panic, but obviously, like it was recoverable. With software and stuff, and I got it back. So
God, that's
saved.
good.
But at the time, I didn't realize that I was going to be able to get that back. So I was just shitting myself
in your
all
head.
day.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was I learned. You kind of do these things and learn the hard way, and then at this point with all the experience I've got, you'd like to think that I know how to cover every single, but every now and again something else crops up that you just have to learn from, and just have things in place to cover it. Like multiple angles and backups of audio and all that standard stuff. A nappy just in case. I always carry spare pants because I split my pants a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I've said this in a previous podcast that I always bring like 3 pairs of clothes. Like I've ripped shirts so many times, jeans.
I spilled coffee down a white shirt as well. I've done that.
You did tomato sauce, didn't you?
Yeah. Tomato sauce. On the way to the wedding, just doing the Mackey's run. And do you know what the thing is? Do you know what the thing is as well? Right, I never get the tomato sauce for that very reason. And for some reason, like I don't even really like tomato sauce. And she asked me, she didn't really. She was like tomato or brown, and there was no option for no sauce. So like my brain just went tomato. And then instantly regretted it when I was like, shit.
Man,
it was all down me.
I was in a ceremony, bed down, and my jeans ripped all the way down the back to my knee. And I'm on top of, like, in Edinburgh, there's a place called Calton Hill, which is the big hill right in the city centre. And the ceremony finished.
I got engaged on there.
Oh, did you? Oh, there you go. Yeah. So I was at the observatory. And I asked the photographer, like, right, what have you got planned right now? And he said, maybe some family portraits. Like, right. Family portraits, don't take the couple anywhere. I'll be back in like 15 minutes. I sprinted down the hill, went to the new St. James's shopping centre, to Levi's, bought a pair of jeans and sprinted back up. It was this sweaty mess, but the couple had no idea.
No idea. It's amazing what you do behind the scenes.
I was in the changing room, absolutely sweating, and the jeans wouldn't go up. I'm like, oh my God. What a nightmare.
It's been an epic episode today, Adam. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
For our listeners, where can they find out more info about you?
Well, I'm on all the usual stuff. Adam Wing Films. I'm obviously got my YouTube, which is Adam Wing Wedding Filmmaker. But I mean, you search my name on YouTube, you'd find it. AdamWingFilms.com, Adam Wing Films Instagram. DM me with anything that anyone wants to ask. I'm pretty much an open book, and I've got no friends, so I'm happy to chat to anyone who give me the time.
We're your friends. We're your friends.
Don't tell my friends that I said that. But,
what friends?
I'm like a bit of a reclusive here, so I like being at my desk. So I'm always happy to chat in the DMs.
Thank you for the code. This is for your course as well. I think a lot of people will get value out of that. So
thank you.
Obviously I've got the podcast as well, which is at Think Wedding Business on Instagram and Spotify. We're on all the podcasty things. Not to plug that on your podcast.
No, but, absolutely, because there's stuff obviously over on that one as well that that is completely transferable over for
if anyone wants to listen to that. And then the course, you're welcome to a discount code. half
Perfect.
price.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Something. I'll come up with a, I don't know. I'm reading your thing. TWVP 50. It'll be something like that. I'll let
Nice
you
and
know,
easy.
and then you can.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, TWVP.
50. I like it.
Banging. It'll all be in the show notes, though.
I'd give it away at this point.
But no, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been class.
Thank you.
Getting to
I've
chat
enjoyed
to
it.
you.
I've enjoyed it, and keep going with the pod. Like, thanks on behalf of the rest of us in the UK, because it's nice to have a Videography UK wedding podcast to listen to for all of us. And I hope you keep doing it, because I'm enjoying it so far, and obviously, like, I know a lot of people get loads out of stuff like this. So
thanks, man. Yeah, we're
we're in too deep to give up now.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent that much money. I mean,
you've committed. I know. Yeah,
you've made such a big deal about
launching it.
A ridiculous amount just on these alone. So
Which,
you
by
did the hype
way,
machine well, because you're like, we're launching it soon. We're launching it soon. I was like, when is it?
we teased the hell out of that.
Yeah, we did.
You did,
and coasted. Which, by obviously, we did say that we've invested a fair amount of these. As a guest for coming on the show, you are going to be the lucky owner of one of these bottles, so it'll be sent your way very soon.
Wow.
So enjoy
that's
it. Water
cool.
never tasted so good.
Or so
That is
expensive.
cool. I feel like I've won like a countdown clock or something. That's amazing.
That's exactly what it is.
That's
It's
exactly
just
it.
probably more expensive than the countdown clock. Yeah. So if you send us your address, we'll get that out to you, mate. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us. Cheers, boys.
I've been Danny.
I've been Jace.
Till the next one.
See you later, guys.